Deepti, who's your next question to?
So for the for and against ZeroCovid, we've got, what do the panel think will be the collateral health costs resulting from pursuing ZeroCovid in terms of a lack of focus on non-COVID health matters, which appear to be resulting in a rise in excess non-COVID deaths, according to ONS?
I'm happy to start with that.
Thank you, Deepti.
Yeah. So a lot of the lack of routine care and what we've seen, increase in waiting lists in the UK is essentially, and in many other countries, is essentially because of lack of containing COVID. Our health systems became overwhelmed. We had to go into long lockdowns so people couldn't access in-person care. Actually, if you look at countries that pursued zero COVID, they had short lockdowns. Their health systems didn't get overwhelmed, and they were able to provide much more routine care because they returned to near normal life in a matter of 5 to 6 weeks in many cases. So actually, the impact of health is not because of the strategy to pursue long COVID. Rather, it's lack of control of long COVID, which results in these sort of halfway measures or prolonged lockdowns and our NHS becoming overwhelmed repeatedly, which is what leads to lack of healthcare for people.
John, are you still there? Would you like to add your thoughts?
Sure. I think that the collateral damages could be 10 times or 100 times worse than COVID-19 itself. And unfortunately, we don't know. Most of them are not necessarily happening now. They're going to happen in the future. They have very prolonged kind of footprints or potential for footprints. Of course, we have also homeostasis in human populations. We're very resilient. We're able to forget. We're able to address difficulties. But I think that we need a holistic approach. We need to look at the big picture, all the dimensions. In some cases, some interventions may have more or less collateral damages, and we cannot ignore them. I think that saying that lockdowns actually contain COVID, I think is false. We've seen that in most countries that had the strictest lockdowns, they had the worst outcomes, both for COVID and also for the collateral damages.
So John, are you saying that you don't believe that lockdowns actually have an impact on bringing cases down? Are you actually saying that?
I think that lockdown, along with many other measures like very intensive testing, contact tracing, isolation, very early on, when you have a low viral load, when you have limited seating, you can do things amazingly well. And I think that these are success stories. But once you're in a situation with 2 billion people infected, prolonging lockdowns blindly just doesn't help. I mean, the data that we have, at least what we see is that they're pro-contagion. And I can see explanations for that. You just limit people staying at home for longer periods of time.
The data Michael showed is that zero COVID is associated with shorter lockdowns, not longer lockdowns. We've had the longest lockdowns in places that didn't manage to get on top of the pandemic. It's the zero COVID areas that have had the shortest lockdowns.
But that's a year later, or more than a year later.
You're going to have to continue this conversation on chat because we've